Hi folks, John Dunn, RPG freelancer, publisher, Melior Via, up here at Immortals Inc. tonight. I'm here with my buddy Mikey.
As always, what's up, John? What do we got today?
Tonight I thought we'd talk about another RPG system that I'm kind of a fan of, and that is the Fate Core system. This is published by the folks at Evil Hat Productions. It's been around for a little while now. First came out in a game system called Tales of the Century. At least that's the first I was exposed to it. And it's kind of developed from a system that goes back in the 90s by the name of Fudge, the Freeform Universal something game engine.
Oh, it's an acronym.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Well, and Fate was an acronym at one point, I think. But if it was, I'm not positive what that was, and it's not anymore. It's released under the as an open system under the OSR, and it's also released under some other publishing ways. So there's a lot of ways you can gain access to this. There's a lot of ways you can do things with it professionally. So there are a number of different companies that have kind of taken advantage of that. So this core book has a whole lot of stuff out there for it. But I'm probably getting ahead of myself a little bit. So let me start talking about just what the gist of the system is first.
Yes, and before you even did that, I was going to ask you, like, what's the, it's probably a part of that, but what's this gorilla behind you, man?
Okay.
I'm intrigued here.
No, I hear you, man. So the game system is meant to be a universal, very open game system that you can use for a lot of different stuff. And so they kind of wanted to portray that with some crazy stuff on the cover. So you've got this adventurer woman down here at the bottom, right in the middle, because, hey, it's an RPG, so everybody thinks, I want to do sword and sorcery fantasy, right? And then over here on the side, you've got your special agent looking guy, because, yeah, you can do gritty cop-type stuff with this.
Cop-type stuff.
Cop-type, there you go. And then over here on the side, we got this crazy-looking monkey kung fu superhero-type guy, because they wanted to put on something that's just, a little bit out there. On the back cover, we got a woman who's probably some kind of martial arts pirate type thing, is my guess.
She looks like an instigator.
She may be. She might be, just like you. The whole point of this is that it is a generic rule system. It's designed to do a lot of things. Like I said, it originally came out for a game, Spirit of the Century. After that, it came out as the core rules for the Dresden Files RPG. Do you know about that setting, Mike?
No, I've never even heard of that. You said Dresden Files?
Yeah, so when you think Dresden, you might think city in Germany.
It sounds German.
Yeah, it's not. It's about a guy by the name of Harry Dresden, who happens to be the only sorcerer in the city of Chicago who's in the phone book.
He's a sorcerer?
He's a wizard, actually, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Is it offensive to call him a wizard or a sorcerer? I mean,
I think he'd get offended if you said sorcerer. He's a wizard.
Okay.
I said it wrong.
All right, let's not offend him at all.
In any case, there's a series of novels called the Dresden Files about Harry Dresden, who is kind of a noir-style wizard in Chicago in more or less modern times. There's been a TV series, there's been graphic novels, and there's been an RPG line, which is still available also from Evil Hat. Pretty cool system, set up really well so that you design your characters collaboratively, and you design the city where you play in collaboratively. And I didn't see it on the shelf here at Immortals Inc., but I am positive that if you ask Carlos to get you a copy, he'll get it in for you.
Anything you need, we'll get it for you here at Immortals Inc.
There you go. This is the more generalized version. So it's open for pretty much any kind of setting that you want to do with it. There are a whole lot of different materials available for this in terms of pre-configured settings and in terms of different generic source books that you can use. So if you want to create your own setting, there's tools for that. If you want to use one of the published settings, Evil Hat comes out with a new setting pretty much once a month. That's not an exaggeration. It's pretty much once a month they release another brand new setting for this game system.
See, I like that though, because like even with me, I'm a video game fan, and I love when I play the video games and they update it regularly, because like it keeps you intrigued. So I mean, something like this keeps you intrigued. Yeah,
and so that's a great option. And with the number of them that they pump out, even if you only like 1 in 5, odds are it's going to take you 3 or 4 months to get through one of them, as long as you're playing regularly with it. So there's plenty of opportunity to do different things with this. And of course, like I said, there's plenty of options if you want to do your own setting development. And there are a few different licensed settings out there as well, where companies have gotten a license for a major, well-established IP like the Dresden Files and published materials for that. Evil Hat aren't the only people that publish for it. I've actually worked on some stuff for a couple of other companies that has been published using this rule system. So there are lots of different options out there once you get your hands on this that you can take it in all kinds of different directions. There isn't really an explicit setting in here. It's more these are the kinds of things you can do. The real focus of this is how you go about creating your characters, how you go about interacting with different NPCs. Couple of things about this that are pretty unusual. First one is dice. You don't use traditional RPG dice. Instead, you use fudge dice or fate dice.
Didn't we come across this in one of our last videos? What game had different dice as well?
So Genesis also has different dice.
Yeah.
Genesis's dice are a lot more powerful. Fate dice are 6-sided dice, but they're essentially just numbered 1 to 3. And the way they're numbered is you have a minus sign, a blank face, and a plus sign. They're each on the dice twice. So it's basically a 3-sided dice, either -1, 0, or +1.
It's basically Ed Sheeran's whole discography in a set of dice.
There you go. When you roll fate dice or fudge dice, you roll a set of 4 of them, and you generate a value from -4 to +4. And the fact of the matter is, it's a real pretty bell curve. And most of the time, you're going to be sitting right around 0, sometimes +1, sometimes -1, but most of the time right around 0, just because of the number of dice you're throwing and that there isn't a real big range on it. So because of that, the way you set up your character is going to matter a lot. And trying to do the things that your character is set up to do well, those are generally going to succeed against the basic difficulty. And where things get interesting then is what you can do to manipulate that curve.
So what would be your biggest pro about this game? Like, what's the thing you favor the most about this?
That's what I was going to kind of dive into next.
There you go.
Yeah. Amazing how that works out sometimes, isn't it? Good. It's like we had a script and planned it.
It's like,
let me assure you, we don't.
It's like I was about to say great minds think alike. That would be like I'm reading from a script, wouldn't it be?
It would. The game uses something called aspects for your characters. And so, most RPGs, you've got a set of attributes and a set of skills, and they're pretty much static, and you're just numbering them. In Fate, you do have skills, and there's a standard list, but it might change a little bit based on your setting. But then your characters have what are called aspects, and aspects are things that are very specific to that character, and they're things that are going to come up a lot with that character. One of the examples is if your character has a catchphrase. Anytime they say that catchphrase, it could be useful. So, if the tick goes charging into battle as he bellows spoon, he could say, hey, I'm going to use my aspect. And when you use your aspect, you get a bonus to whatever it is you're trying to do.
That kind of reminds me of Overwatch. I don't know if you heard of that game, but,
yeah.
They got like 27 plus heroes.
Sure.
Got their different aspects. Kind of reminds me of.
Yeah, so a Fate character typically has 5 aspects. And they're all going to be things that you kind of figure out when you're making up that character, and they're all very specific to that character. And usually a good aspect is something that can help you, but sometimes it can also hinder you. The way it works is when your aspect comes into play, if you want to use it to help you, you can spend a fate point, and it gives you a +2 to what you're trying to do. And remember, those dice rolls only went from -4 to +4, so a +2 is kind of a big deal. Sometimes if an aspect's working against you, your game master can offer you a fate point. And fate points are kind of, luck points. They're the currency of the game system. Your game master can give you a fate point for saying, hey, your aspect works against you here.
Only if you have a good game master, though, right?
Well, if you've got a game master who took the time to learn what your aspects are. When you're running Fate, that's critical. As the game master, I like to keep a printout right next to me of all the players' aspects, or rather all the player characters' aspects, so that I remember to make sure to use those and give them an opportunity to use them.
Take notes, future game masters.
The other thing about aspects is it's not just the characters that have them. Aspects can come up when you're talking about places and when you're talking about NPCs. So say they're in a building and you decide it's dark inside the building. So then that dark aspect can come into play. And if the players are trying to sneak around, they might spend a fate point to get the bonus for the dark when they're trying to be sneaky. Or you might say, when they're trying to read a book while they're in that dark warehouse, that, oh, I'm going to give you a fate point because you can't quite make out the words there. So you got a penalty to your investigation check. Aspects can change. So another aspect that has come up when characters are trying to sneak around in a warehouse and things don't go the way they planned is that warehouse might gain the on fire aspect, which obviously could have other implications. That might have advantageous and maybe more disadvantageous circumstances. A lot of the game is real touchy-feely in that kind of way, in that you are leveraging aspects. It's all about using terminology and keywords and phrases. So if that's something that might drive you crazy because you only want to be crunching numbers, may not be the perfect game for you. If you're kind of tired about being weighted down by always having the exact same keywords meaning the exact same thing with the rule system that you've been fighting against for a while, the flexibility in here and the way those keywords can change might be compelling for you.
So basically, if you want to determine your fate, play Fate.
There you go, man. Mikey summed it all right up there. Did say we've got this on the shelf right in stock right now. The core book in hardcover is $25. There are a number of other supplements for it. There are a number of different settings for it. Stop in here at Immortals Inc. Take a look. See if any of it's up your alley. Check out Evil Hat's website because they do have a lot of other stuff that I know they'd be happy to get in for you. And Evil Hat is part of the Bits and Mortar program. They are, in fact, the guys who started it. So anything you buy in the store in print, you can get free in PDF from them when you send them the receipt from the store.
Couldn't have said it any better myself, John. Like I said, it's always a pleasure working with you.
Great to be here, Mikey. Thanks a lot. And thanks for watching.